Well, hello there and welcome to our deep dive into the Project Management Institute's Guide to the Project Management Body of Knowledge, its new 5th edition. I'm Larry Elwood, PMP, and I'll be your host for this course series. Well, who am I? I've been a project management professional for over 15 years. I received my PMP certification in 2008, and I've worked in the private sector, the public sector, project management, and I also have security training. So I've been doing project management of security programs, which is a great combination, and you'll see much more of those in job application descriptions. I'm an experienced trainer, as I mentioned, in both PMBOK and information security, and I'm an active member of the PMI California Inland Empire chapter. And my big desire is to help you become better project managers by leveraging the elegancy and superb applicability of the PMBOK 5 project management methodology. Now, why is this course different than many other courses that are out there? Well, first, it's not a PMP boot camp. We don't try to cram the whole entire PMBOK down your throat in 4 days just so you can pass the test and then flush it down when you're done after you receive your certification. The purpose here is to give you a deep understanding of the PMBOK process integration, in-depth analysis of the knowledge areas and their interactions with their ETOs, which is your inputs, tools and techniques, and outputs. And you're just going to get a real deep appreciation for this elegant methodology. And we want you, in the end, not only to get your PMP, but also to be able to take a practical application of this PMBOK knowledge and apply it to your professional career. So that's my objective, and I hope that's yours too. We have some course requirements and a few caveats. You're going to need to have your own legal copy of the PMBOK 5 edition, which you can get from Amazon, you can get from PMI, and if you happen to be a PMI member, you can download it for free. This course is a good guide, but you do need to still read the PMBOK material on your own to get the concepts well embedded in your mind. Now, to be successful with the PMP exam, if in fact that's your objective, you're going to need to read the material in this course and condition yourself with one of the many third-party PMP exam simulators that are out there on the market. And to make it easier on the students, throughout the course, you'll see many graphics in this course outline, and they are the same graphics that are in the PMBOK manual itself. Thanks to PMI, we can use those rather than recreating the same data in a different format. So this visually, you connect with the PMBOK much better. So we'll see that as we go through the course. So let's get going. Our first module is Project Management and Organizational Strategic Business Value. One of my certifications is a Certified Information Security Manager of management programs from the top down, an ISSMP, Information System Management Security Professional. Now, I look at it like a CISSP, technical from the bottom up, in the trenches doing your technical security work, but the SMP, System Management Professional, takes it from the organizational view down. It encompasses not only IT, if that's what you're in, but also you have to consider the business operations, your strategic organizational values, and why you're doing a project. As we'll see, you should never undertake a project if it does not contribute to the organizational strategies, their business values, and their goals. So we're going to look at that in this chapter and refer to this many times throughout our course. So this is chapter 1 of the PMBOK. So read that, and here we go with this. Notice on the front of your PMBOK guide, it says guide. It is not the actual standard in the first part of the PMBOK. The actual standard is in the back, and we'll talk about that later. But the guide goes through 47 of the standard project management processes, and it elaborates on them rather than reading the raw, cold standard. So that's what it does in the first part of the manual. Now you, as the project management practitioner, need to have your personal project management experience in order to leverage and understand and really apply these 47 processes that we'll get into. The PMP exam requires you to have a certain number of hours and years of experience in order to sit for the PMP exam. So the two together, understanding this PMBOK, will bring you a long way toward your PMP exam success, plus your experience, because many of the PMP exam questions integrate your experience with the methodology, so they understand, you know, how to apply this. There are other PMP frameworks, project management frameworks out there. The PMBOK is one. Waterfall projects in general are out there, but PRINCE2 is a big European project management framework, and there are others, but PMBOK and the PMP is by far the most widely recognized project management certification standard in the world. So this is, if you're going to learn one, this is by far the best, in my opinion. So we're talking about standards, so let's actually define a standard. In your PMBOK, under Annex A1 is the actual standard. It looks much like the front part throughout the guide without a lot of the elaboration and explanation. But ISO here is the International Standards Organization, and they define a standard. Let's just read this a second. A standard is a document approved by a recognized body, in this case ISO, that provides for common and repeated use, that's a standard, common and repeated use, rules, guidelines, and characteristics for what? For products, processes, and services, which happen to be deliverables, by the way, in which compliance is not mandatory. Your organization may have a standard, and if you use it, that is it, but it is not required unless your organization requires it. So just because the project management body of knowledge is a standard does not mean that you're required to use it. Of course, it's your organizational decision, or yours personally if you have that option. By the way, the actual standard is called, rather cumbersome title, Standard for Project Management of a Project. Okay, so it's right there. Now ANSI, the American National Standards Institute, has accredited Project Management Institute as a standards developer back in 1998. This is an incredible, prestigious title that PMI has been conferred upon, because not everyone can write standards for ANSI. So this is a big deal for them. And here's the ANSI PMI actual standard number, 8001-2012 for the PMBOK 5, 5th revision or edition. In there are 10 knowledge areas. There were 9 prior, now there's 10, which includes stakeholder management now as its own knowledge area. We'll get into great detail on that later. There are 5 process groups, which we'll talk about, of course, in detail, and again, the 47 processes. So you have inputs, processes, outputs, and that's all in the standard. Organizational process assets, I'll mention that right here, and we're going to go into a lot of detail, and you'll get tired of this by the end of this course, but it is essential that you understand what this is. Organizational process assets are what is available to you as the project management practitioner from your organization. It could be policies, templates, rules, guidelines, standards. It could be anything that you need to run your project that has already been done by your organization. And most importantly, even, it includes all of your historical information of past projects, assuming that those project managers have been diligent enough to actually file them away for future project management use. And those are organizational process assets. The flip side we'll see is called an enterprise environmental factor, and we'll talk about that also pretty soon. So chapter 1 or module 1, we're going to talk about what is a project. Now you may say, well, I already know what a project is, but we need to have this foundation in the first 3 modules before we actually get into the PMBOK processes themselves. And this is essential, it's key, because we need to look at this from the organization on down so that we know why we're doing a project and how it benefits the organization. So basically, a project is, and for the PMP exam, you need to know these definitions. And I'll say this right here up front, and we'll say it again later. No matter what you know, no matter how successful you are in your projects, if you have nothing to do with PMBOK, remember, when you take your PMP, you have to answer the questions in the PMBOK way. You know, even if you feel it's not right, it's wrong, it's not how you do it, answer them in the PMBOK way, or you're going to not pass the test properly. So here's their definition of a project. And this is pretty fundamental, universally anyway. It's a temporary endeavor. Temporary. It has a beginning, a start, and it has a definite finish at some point in time. And it's finished, though, when all project objectives are met. Project objectives are not just, I've delivered the product, Mr. Customer, thank you very much, you know, pay me. It's much more than that. It's, you know, have you actually completed your project on time, within your budget? Did you actually deliver the first time around what the client wanted? And not only did you do that, objectives could be, is your customer satisfied? And that's a tough one, but that's part of the project objective. So when all those are met, your project, it could be over. Finally, here, what is a project? Again, down here, it creates a unique product or a service or a result transition. Now, we can understand what a unique product could be. Here's this blue box with 3 buttons. Deliver it, that's your product. A service, you could have a service. You could, you know, a new help desk service. You could design a project to implement help desk capability in your organization. That's a service. Now, what is a result transition? This throws a lot of new project managers or even experienced project managers. Just what does that mean? Maybe you have some dirty duct work that's pumping out soot because they're old and your employees are complaining. Well, you institute a project approved by your organization to clean the ductwork and make it healthy for your individuals. That is a result transition from an unhealthy to a healthy environment. And by the way, you would do that probably normally anyway, but I'm sure your organization probably has something, some objectives, some strategy to provide a healthy working environment and safe environment for your employees. So that project would contribute and provide business value when you do that. So that is a result transition. And projects generally, like I mentioned, follow organizational procedures if in fact your organization has them.